Day one of the NFL draft is in the books. We had some exciting stuff, and it was a very interesting draft the entire way. No running backs in the first round. That is the first time in 50 years. More than an entire line's worth of offensive linemen went in the first round. 3 tackles in the top 4 picks. It was crazy. On the other hand, we also had some free-falling quarterbacks. Geno Smith not taken in the first round. It's a situation where here's a guy who is going to have to go through rough spots. He may just put that chip on his shoulder and play even better wherever he lands. A guy who showed up in the first round who surprised me was E.J. Manuel to the Buffalo Bills. Listen, E.J. Manuel, he's a guy who is very, very raw. The Bills moved back out of that 8 spot, and I totally understand that, because really there wasn't a value of a quarterback with that top 10. We thought Geno Smith might go. We heard Ryan Nassib, but they just moved back because they didn't have anyone they really, really loved. E.J. Manuel, they didn't think would be there in the second round, but I gotta ask you, when you go in the top 20 picks with a quarterback, you go in the top 15 with a quarterback, you expect that guy to step in and play. E.J. Manuel is a one-read-and-go quarterback. Right now, the guy he is he looks for his first option, and then if that's not there, he runs. He's not a great quarterback right now. He has tremendous ceiling, but also is really, really raw. I do question whether they're going to do him a disservice if they don't redshirt him his first season and stick him into the fire. He does have Stevie Johnson. He has C.J. Spiller. He has an offense that caters to his general specifics and how he plays. But overall, I don't know. I don't like the pick. I don't hate E.J. Manuel. I just think that the Bills moving back that far, I don't think you take E.J. Manuel there. Of course, I don't subscribe to the concept of a reach. You like a guy, go get a guy. But this is a pick that really has me rethinking that entire concept. Another questionable pick to me was the New York Jets, Daryl Richardson. I like Richardson overall, but let's be honest. You've got defensive linemen coming out the yin-yang. You have a lot of other question marks elsewhere. Yeah, you did get D. Milliner with your 9th pick. You were able to replace Revis to some extent. I mean, he's not Revis. He's not going to be Revis. But then you go with another defensive lineman. You have so many holes, and that's where you come up with. A lot of people are pinning this pick on Rex Ryan, but I wonder if this is Gene Idzik. Because Idzik might have come in and said best player available, and really Richardson was the best player available. Just wasn't available at a position that the Jets really, really needed. It's not just me thinking this, though. Why don't we take a look at Brian Bassett and see what he has to say? Brian Bassett of the Jets blog. I caught up with him at Radio City Music Hall.
Brian Bassett of the Jets blog in SNY. So the Jets go D. Milliner and then
Sheldon Richardson.
Yeah, and so what are your thoughts on the Jets' first round?
It feels like it's like Groundhog Day, right? Like, we just got 2 guys who can play the 5, and Richardson could do a lot more than that, but like, we just did that in the last 2 classes. I think what happened was everything that happened between the 6th pick and the 8th pick basically let out all the air of the balloon for the Jets. Like, I think they really wanted Tavon Austin, who they then couldn't take, and then some of the other guys that might have been good fits just didn't work out for them. So they go with Milner, and that's great. I mean, they're going to upgrade their secondary there. That's nice. Sheldon Richardson sounds like he's an athletic freak, great player, can play all over. I would say, if I'm just thinking what Jets fans are saying to themselves at home, is that was not very fulfilling. For all the hype that was built up going into today, I don't think it scratched the itch. But I certainly think it's, I'm rambling at this point, but it's Idzik saying, I run the show, not you, Rex Ryan.
So Bassett, like me, not totally sure what to make of this pick. A team I thought came out ahead was the Minnesota Vikings. They outright stole the first round of this draft. First, they get the free-falling Sharif Floyd, a guy who is a top 5 defensive tackle, a big beast who's going to help them shore up the middle. And then they get Xavier Rhodes, cornerback, replacing Antoine Winfield. I mean, both of those, complete steals. They shouldn't have been on the board at that point. The Vikings didn't waste any time. I know they tried to trade back a little bit at one point, but honestly, didn't waste any time, went and got the guy they did. I didn't love how much they had to give up to come back into the first round to get Cordarrelle Peterson. I do love Peterson. I mean, what does he do? He catches the ball and then runs well after the catch. What did Percy Harvin do? That very thing. So he's going to fit in really well with his offense. He's a guy who is very raw and has a long way to go to becoming a polished receiver, but he's going to fit in really well with Jarius Wright, Greg Jennings, and Adrian Peterson in the backfield. I love this offense. I just don't like how much that they had to pay to get back in. But, you know, like I said earlier, I don't believe in reach. You get a guy when you want a guy. They wanted this guy. They felt he was a step above anyone else at the wide receiver position they could get in the second round. They jumped up and got him. I think that was great. St. Louis Rams as well. They jumped up, got to Tavon Austin, gave Sam Bradford a no excuses, like Christian Ponder, both quarterbacks who got their new wide receivers. No excuses for those guys now. Sam Bradford has Tavon Austin, who I think is a step up from Danny Amendola, and much more of a step up from Brandon Gibson. This helps this offense tremendously, and then they did some good stuff with the rest of their picks as well. I love the way the Rams played out the first round. Overall, the only team I really hated for that first round, and yeah, I didn't like that Bills pick, was the Dallas Cowboys. They move up. They move back, first of all, a huge amount, and don't get much for it, which seemed to be the theme because the same thing happened to the Oakland Raiders. But then they go and pick a guy who most people had in the third round of most of their analysis. Yeah. You like a guy, go get a guy. But I do question whether they picked the right offensive lineman with their last pick so late in the first round. There were other things they could have done, other positions they could have filled out. But overall, I really question what they were doing. This was a very exciting first day. We're going to be heading back to Radio City Music Hall for day 2. Second and third round is very exciting. Here at Cheesehead TV, we will have everything covered for you, the NFL and Packer fan. I'm Andrew Garda. I'll talk to you later.